In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Shannon Howard, and she's hailing over from the folks over at PeopleGrove. She's a customer marketing manager, and today we want to deep dive into what PeopleGrove is all about, how the team is thinking about growth, but also what the role of the customer marketing manager entails. So, Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lucas.
Of course. So, maybe give us a quick 360 overview. What is PeopleGrove all about in your own words?
Sure. PeopleGrove is a platform that colleges and universities use with their community to facilitate mentorship, networking, job connections, and career exploration. So we would refer to that combination of things as career access.
That makes a lot of sense. So maybe tell me sort of a bit more who's benefiting the most, how they're leveraging the platform. Maybe give us a quick insight into sort of, who is it for and how are they using it?
Sure. So our buyers are higher education institutions, so colleges, universities, and our end users are their students, alumni, faculty, staff. So I think the big benefit, I guess the whole idea of career access kind of being these multiple components, a big part of that being career exploration. Like, we're going to talk about customer marketing. That wasn't a field a number of years ago. That's not something that you can currently go to college for. So how do we help students, alumni explore the career opportunities that are available in today's world that maybe didn't exist when they went to school, or they're not, maybe no one in their network has that job title, but how do we introduce them to that? And then how do we help them to build their social capital, so their network, so that they can find these new career opportunities, break into the field, even if they maybe didn't grow up with a big social network.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, with which types of organizations do you work? Is that certain, industries? Is there certain pieces? Like who? Tell me a little bit more about sort of that B2B side of it.
Sure. Yeah. So our buyers are those higher education. So colleges, university, usually in admissions and enrollment, career services, alumni relations, alumni engagement. Yeah. In those
And what would you say, how do they learn about PeopleGrove? So if we're talking about, somebody in a higher education institution, they're probably busy with a lot of different things. So how do they learn and figure out about PeopleGrove?
I think that's where we have, kind of a unique opportunity and privilege, where we work with most of the top 100 colleges and universities in the United States. So a lot of it, I think, is kind of our reputation in the industry. In higher education, they're often looking at what are these other schools doing, schools that are about my size, the same type of institution. What are they using? What platforms are they bringing in? They're highly collaborative, so they're asking each other what they're doing for mentorship, what they're doing for networking. And I think PeopleGrove naturally comes up there. And then, of course, our marketing team is doing a lot on demand generation. And I told you prior to recording, but we're kind of like a lot of tech companies kind of introducing this category of career access. So we're trying to do a lot of education and thought leadership around what is career access, why would you need a career access platform? And so that's really what our demand gen and brand teams are working on.
Okay, I see. Now, in their journey, like, what role do you attribute to the website today versus where do you see it going? We chatted a little bit about that actually prior to the interview. What do you see? I mean, you guys rebranded and or updated the branding and look and feel of the website. Where do you see it moving forward to?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this new kind of rebranding of the website is that it's following a journey. So part of our new brand identity is this idea that we're all on a career journey. I am not today where I was 10 years ago, and 10 years from now, who even knows? And so part of even how you would visually go through the website is kind of following someone's journey. So I think I see kind of our website is people really starting to understand more of that, life's a journey, and PeopleGrove can kind of help you along that career journey and the exploration, or finding the next opportunity, getting the connection to make that next opportunity happen. And also just educating on career access, right? Because more colleges and universities are talking about this, connecting classroom to career. And we're kind of presenting a framework where we're able to say, this is what we've seen with the people who are using our platform, is that mentorship is important, networking is important, but that career exploration piece is also important, because we don't always know what's available out there to us. And then the job connection piece is really important too. Like working in tech, I meet a lot of people who want to break into tech. And I was introduced to tech through a former employee. So I don't think I would have gotten into tech. I didn't realize how hard it was to get in because someone made an introduction. But for a lot of people who are trying to break into tech, they need that introduction. So how are we helping them to meet those people?
Very cool. Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, since we're touching briefly on the website here, and obviously it has is a growing role for PeopleGrove, I want to sort of learn a bit more about your sort of past roles, right? You've been marketing consultant, you've been driving customer marketing for very interesting companies in the past. What have you learned over the about the years? Like what's important for a website to actually drive results, be actually a helpful asset to the business? Maybe is there one or two sort of maybe tools, approaches, methods that you've picked up over the years?
Yeah, I think part of it to me is kind of speaking people's language and B2B. Sometimes we think that we're talking to like a corporation or an organization, but organizations are made up of people. So we still have a person on the other end of the screen kind of reading through our website. And so how do we talk to that person? And what are the words that they're using to describe their problems? And especially in this world of category creation, I think a lot of companies are moving into this world. And that is kind of the future, is these disruptive movements, is how do we're trying to get people from where they are today to what we're talking about. Like, what is that bridge? Because we need to kind of take people along for the ride. So how are we meeting people where they're at and taking them along for the ride? And that's where I think education plays a really critical role. Like I'm a big proponent of customer education because I just think we've got to help people get from here to there. On the prospect side of things to see the full potential of our solutions, but then also on the customer side of things, how are we helping people to grow in their role? Well, we're doing that by educating and training them and how to do their jobs better, how to step into this in our world, career access. How do you incorporate career access into the work that you do now? How do you make that a possibility for your students?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, what I would like to do is, because we talked, a bit about PeopleGrove, we talked about your journey as a marketer as well. But I want to deep dive into this. I want to learn a little bit more, and also the audience is always quite interested into sort of, how a marketer takes in the end. So there is a lot of content out there for marketing, right? So you could research a lot of stuff. Where do you personally like to get valuable information from? What's sort of your way through all the noise out there?
Sure. For me, it's blogs. So when there's something that I'm trying to learn, I'll Google it and then see what shows up there. And then I'm also looking for, I guess, when I'm looking at what blog to read, I'm looking for kind of trusted brands and reputations. But then also community. I'm part of a customer marketing Slack community, and that's where I go, where I'm like, hey, this is the kind of thing I'm working on. Has anyone done this before? What advice do you have here? And I really think that community of practitioners plays a huge role. Just the people who have gone before you and kind of been there and done that and can walk you along. Especially in the world of customer marketing, it is so new that there's not really like one go-to place to learn all the tools of the trade. So a lot of us are just kind of learning by interaction.
Yeah, I would love actually to pick up on that a little bit, customer marketing, right? For some people, it just might sound like, aren't we all marketing to customers? Can you define for us what you consider customer marketing and what the role sort of entails and how you interpret it as PeopleGrove?
Sure. So customer marketing, typically marketing to customers post-sale. So after that initial transaction with the sales team, they're passed over to either onboarding or customer success. It can be lifecycle communication, so onboarding, recurring customer communications, product release updates, ongoing communications like a newsletter. It can be expansion campaigns. So if you have a multi-module product and you're trying to get people to purchase additional modules or add-ons, customer marketing usually kind of oversees expansion, retention and engagement. So how are we helping customers to use our product well, use it more, really maximize the value that they're getting? Advocacy is a big part of customer marketing. So, and that's where it does help on the pre-sale side of things with customer references, customer stories, case studies, review site campaigns, just like anything where we can highlight the voice of the customer. And then I think even on the voice of the customer side of things, for companies that usually I feel like customer experience teams are at much larger enterprise organizations. For smaller companies, I think customer marketing managers are usually the kind of keepers of the customer voice because we're interacting with them. They're our primary audience. So we're collecting feedback for product, we're passing along feedback to internal teams. I know for us at PeopleGrove, we're looking at informing more of that pre-sales buyer journey by talking to our current customers. What's your buying process like? What are your buying groups on campus? If we want to be in more offices on campus, what does that look like? And so how are we soliciting and recruiting customers to have those conversations to learn more for pre-sales? So customer marketing can be a lot, but I think predominantly focused on that. Once someone becomes a customer, what happens? What's their experience like?
That makes a lot of sense. If somebody wants to get started with customer marketing, is there any sort of one place where you would recommend them to go and start, indulge, and learn and grow? Any place you could tell listeners if they're sort of starting to move from a sort of maybe default marketing role more into a customer marketing role?
Sure. Yeah, the customer marketing Slack community. So if you Google customer marketing Slack community, you should find it. I think HubSpot started it. And then Captivate Collective. They focus a lot on customer advocacy, but they're also expanding into more education and training around the discipline of customer marketing as a whole.
To wrap it up, I have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those? They're a little bit of a surprise for the guests, but they are harmless, I would say. Are you ready for those?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. So what is the last book that you read?
Ooh, I am reading a book right now called Honor Rewards. So it's about people.
What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Right now, we are focused on helping our customers kind of adopt this idea of career access. So for a long time, we were just mentorship and networking. And so helping them to really kind of see where we're headed. And I think a lot of people are excited about that, but we're in that process of educating and moving them along.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed for your role in your company today?
Data. Just, capturing the right data, clean data, syncing to all the platforms, especially for customers, like to personalize and segment communications well, you got to have good data.
What is the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Last thing that kept me awake was handwriting notes to our customers for a conference recently. So
Nice.
Long note to 100 people.
Wow. And the very last question would be, right, if we do a little bit of time travel, right? And if we go back in time, we go back to, let's say, to your very first role when it comes to customer marketing, right? You're stepping into your first customer marketing role. Now, what would be the one advice that you would give yourself for your role in customer marketing?
Ooh, yeah. I think I kind of fell into customer marketing and didn't realize that that's what it was in the beginning. And I think it's understanding there's so many stakeholders that interact with customers and that impact the customer experience. And it's just so important to know those people, who they are, what they do, what their roles are, and then how to collaborate well. Because customer marketing cannot be accomplished by one person. It just really has to be cross-functional. Everybody's collaborating really well.
And I really appreciate you took the time with us to be a guest on Pathon Presents and shared a bit about PeopleGrove. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about PeopleGrove, what's the one thing that they should remember?
I think life is a journey, your career is a journey, and PeopleGrove is just along for the ride.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathon Presents.
Thanks for having me.